Hello everyone, back again. Still on the same trip here. That's car trip, driving trip, not drug trip. Anywho, we've got quite a bit to talk about, I suppose. So I just got to upload some videos, a couple of them, and it took me approximately about an hour or so to upload about 2 videos. It should have taken about 10 minutes, but it wanted to be a pain in the butt, and I tried uploading one that was about 2 hours long, and it wouldn't even act like it would go. So I went back and just uploaded the couple that I could, because I have things to do today, unfortunately. We'll see about tonight and whatnot. It's going to be booking it all day, every day, same later today. I don't know if I'm going home going to sleep or if I'm going to stay up. I probably should take a little nap, but we'll see if I do. Anywho, on less boring stuff, I guess. I don't see why you'd be bored by it, but maybe you are. Let's see. So I did the Lithium Cross Banlist Cup reaction. It was just the first 4 decks in his first video on whichever one it was. I don't know if it's 2022 or whatnot. I'm sure I gave a lot of critique on that and just kind of said, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I would recommend my friends to play, that kind of deal. It's not hard to learn, that kind of deal. Because I'm trying to always find different decks and whatnot for people to play and that type of deal. Because they play like this. Ooh, dead black cat. Oh man, that sucks. Oh, I almost ran over its corpse. Anywho, yikes. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I did the four decks there. He does different groups and whatnot. So there's 4 groups, and there's 2 main groups. So there's 4 divisions and 2 groups, kind of like in baseball or whatever. Or basketball, they have their divisions, and they have that if you know anything about sports. But it might be better if you don't. Anywho, hopefully you're not like a hardcore junkie of sports or whatever. You do more than one thing. I've always tried to be into a lot of different things, but I always knew a lot about each thing that I was into, so that was a good part of it. Let's see. So what he does is those 4 decks face each other each once, I believe, and then the top 2 usually go on, the other 2 are eliminated, and then from there they kind of battle it out through that division, that league, we'll say, like the American League and National League, or Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and baseball and football. Or I guess NFL is really the same thing. You got the, what do they call it? The NFC and the AFC. Yeah, and then I believe they face each other off, and then they do it, but they do it kind of weird. They do like the World Cup one. I don't know what the parameters of that are, excuse me. And yeah, it's really interesting how he does it. It's like if you lose in the top round, you still have a chance to go to the loser's bracket and still go to the finals, which I believe there was a deck that did that. I don't know if they ended up winning. I think, yeah, because I'm pretty sure they had to do 2 rounds at the very end, because it's technically possible. I remember the one finals was like True King Dinosaur Yangzing versus Pendulums, and I was really rooting for True King Dinosaur Yangzing. Pendulums took it, of course, because they're busted, and dinosaurs, for all their good things, they can negate things. Pendulums can play through negates, and they can make boards, and they can hit the board harder than most decks ever. Pretty much any Pendulum deck. But anywho, there's 32 decks per tournament, and you times that by 4 or 5 tournaments that I've pretty much kept up consistently. I don't necessarily watch every duel video and whatnot, but I try to listen to what he says and that type deal. I probably used to be able to look at it and whatnot, a couple years ago, a lot more. Of course, the newer decks usually are the ones that top left and right, but Pendulums and Dinosaurs still got to the finals. The one year, I think it was at 2020 or 2021. either way, it was just very interesting and whatnot. And he does a lot of the same decks, but usually he puts maybe 5 new decks in every tournament. Like I know some of them were like Chain Burn. I think sometimes he puts Necros in there, which Necros really just gets stomped by the newer decks, which is just sad because Necros were tier 0 dang near at the time they were out. And it was just like, oh, Necros format. Oh, yay. I wonder what the mirror match is going to be. I remember when I was playing on Dueling Network back in the day. It's probably before some people's time watching this. I used to play like Exodia and Nurse Burn and that kind of stuff most of the time. And a lot of people were jumping on that bandwagon because they were just tired of playing Necros or against it. And they play like Chicken Game. Another dead animal. Gosh. Yeah, that's kind of how that worked. I mean, he really does the same decks a lot because those are the decks that usually are the ones that top. So if they keep topping near the top, why would you not put them back in, right? I forget what decks were doing really well. It's a lot to remember. I remember back in 2020 or 2021, he was playing like Gladiator Beast, the new build, the Madolche new support build. He's used like Adamanticators, he's used Sky Strikers, he did Sword Soul versus Sky Strikers, and I believe Sword Soul just whooped its butt like 3-0 or something, 3 games to none. He plays best of 5, the first to 3. Yeah, those are a few of the things he does, a few of the decks. Dragon Rulers come up, Zodiac comes up a lot, Pendulum obviously. A lot of different builds of each deck. Blue Eyes has been in there a couple times. I think Cosmo was in there once and just got destroyed by Orcus the first game. I don't even know if they Cosmos touched their life points. Sad how bad Orcus was just overpowered. I mean, I really kind of forget why Orcus was so good. I know it's a 1-card combo and whatnot, but oh, it's the Rusty crap. Yeah, they make Rusty and have negate. I was going to say, they don't really set negates, so... Yeah, it's Rusty that sets the double Fog Blade. Yeah, that's good enough. A couple Fog Blades, and then, I don't know if they can make Azathoth, but if they made Azathoth, that's bullcrap too. Clown Blade has made its appearance, I believe, at least once. Salamangreat. I mean, I could keep going down with spell books. I want to say Evil Swarm made it on one time. Dark Worlds, Troop Goop Scoop, Reasoning Gate, Chaos. Chaos is the deck that you never want to roll out because it's got so many banned cards that are banned for a reason. Confiscation, Delinquent Duo, Forceful Sentry, rip out them hand traps and you can play. You know, different things like that. You never know what could happen. Or you rip a card out of your opponent's hand and Monster Reborn it back. Like, it could be a huge deal. Snatch Steal takes wins. You know, you'll have that. So, seems good enough to me, right? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I really enjoyed that video, and I know there's a lot of content to go with that, whether I made a video on each deck, or made a video on each video, or made a video on each round or bracket. Because it was like a 15-minute video just talking about that. I mean, we're 9 minutes in. I've mostly just been talking about the Lithium Cross Banlist. Really interesting stuff. I know some people might not like the builds or whatever. I mean, I'm not really picky. It's like he's putting in a lot of work for that. So whatever he puts out there is going to be good. It's going to work for me. I know some of the decks are definitely neutered to the point of not being top tier like they could be. Like, a lot of times he'll play a deck, like, after it gets at least hit once, so it's not just destroying everything. Like, I believe I looked at a Sky Striker list, and it didn't have, like, triple Hornet Drones, triple Engage, triple Multi-Roll, triple Widow Anchor, and that type of deal. I think it was when Hornet Drones went to 1, maybe, so it's still triple Engage, or maybe Engage was at 1 at the time. Or Kagari was hit. Sky Strikers was around so long and got hit so many times. I mean, he definitely has some interesting ideas. He had, like, Exodia. I believe he had, what was that other deck? It was just on my mind. I just forgot it. Oh, he loves Monarchs, so he plays Monarchs a lot on there. Usually the extra deck version, which I don't really know how to play as well. I don't know how to do the Banlist domain deck. What other decks does he play? Burning Abyss probably got a spot one time. I think Satellar Knights were on there one time. A lot of those decks just didn't top, and he just didn't use them again. Adamantipator's were on there. Eldritch Sinker, I believe, was on there. I think the next one's going to be really interesting because there were decks, like the new decks that came out, that were really around this year weren't applicable for the list. So Sprite, Tier Element, the Adventure Prank Kids. I'm frankly trying to remember all of them. Anything with adventures and whatnot. I remember he had like the Adventure Phantom Knights, which was pretty cool, I suppose, if you're into that kind of thing. I just know that the adventure package basically lets you go into your plays a lot easier without getting negated and whatnot, and it baits out Nibiru or Ash or Droll, whatever hurts you most. Remember, there's a Trickstar Sky Striker. One of my favorite decks that was just really random was called Invoke Dragoon. It was basically Anaconda, Dragoon, Trickstars, and Invoked. And basically any two cards make you Anaconda, which makes you Dragoon. And then you also have a backup play of Alistair with Mechabot to negate, whatnot. There's a deck that I really think he should play called Shadow Invoke Dragoon. I don't know who came up with that deck. I remember one of my buddies played it. He was Beard Chew, Nasty Grass. I don't know if I have a nickname for him. Newcomer. He played that for a while, and it was a really good deck. It would make Winda, Mechabot, Dragoon, or something like that, and it was really hard to out. And Construct's always a nasty card. Shadow Fusion, of course, is a nasty card. It's like they just play through negates, so they don't mind. So there's that. Yeah. What else? And I'm just naming off decks that were played and whatnot. I mean, obviously, like, I think he purposely didn't play the domain lock because so many decks would just lose to it. Because most decks, except maybe like Cosmos or Necros, really want their extra deck. They don't, even Trickstar. Yeah, the Trickstar deck is going to still want their extra, but maybe not as important, at least the way I play it, because I have so many traps in there that make it trashy and playable. There's a lot of lower tier decks that I feel like never get their fair shot, which I'm all for making like a rogue tournament, because whether people want to believe it or not, a long time ago, before I saw the cross ban list, I came up with an idea, something like that, but I didn't have the time or ability to do it, and I definitely didn't have the information that he did. So good on him that he jumped on that and got that before anyone really did it. Kind of like the progression series, I see a lot of people doing that now. I'm like, I came up with that a long time ago too, I wanted to do, and just never got to it. I'm glad people finally came up with that idea somehow. It's, everybody does it differently and whatnot. I believe 6 Samurais were played on there at one point. If you just go to Lithium 2300, Cross Banlist Cup, there's, I think, going back to at least 2015. I know there's a bunch more. I'm just, we're talking hundreds of decks, and it's kind of surprising me why I'm having a little bit of trouble thinking here. Red light, of course. I'm just trying to think that True Dracos, I think, got featured before. The I don't know if it's Wind Witch Invoked, I believe, got a spot. I'm just thinking about decks here because I'm almost to my destination here. So I'm just kind of like, I'm just trying to finish up here. I think Frog FTK was on there. That was hilarious. Whether that deck ever does any good, whether it does well, it's funny to see. And he actually had the Frog Monarchs in the side, so you could change it up. And he had an extra deck, so it wasn't just boom or bust right there. That was really cool. I have a lot of gimmicky decks that would probably lose to like a lot of the decks because they've got hand traps and all that. These decks were made for not being hand trapped and all that, but they're very fun to play and whatnot. Like my Blue Eyes invoked Galaxy, which I reckon you can play Dragoon in like anything as long as you have Anaconda. So you can make 2 easy monsters. There you go. And you can easily make Anaconda with Disciple of D and whatnot now with the Blue Eyes support. Baroness. Yeah, Baroness wasn't out for the last last Banlist, so it should be fairly interesting to see like next year's. That's what I'm looking to see. Alright on my butt today. But if there's oncoming traffic, you are gonna rear end me. You probably would like that though. So those are some of the decks that I could think of right off the top of my head. Inzector or something, I believe Wind-Ups, the Shock Lock, the Shockmaster. There's so many different Pendulum decks. There's the Astrograph Pendulums. There's the Endymion stuff. There's the Pepe from 2015. So yeah, those are dinosaurs, obviously. Definitely some decks if you're interested in looking into. He gives a pretty decent like deck list to kind of get you started, and you can kind of go from there. Dino Rabbit's another one. Alright, thank you guys for checking out the video. You guys have a good day. Love you guys. Bye.